Hello, this is Jules. This video assumes a basic understanding of stages of consciousness progression, which you can get from my spiral dynamics overview videos, and I'll link those in the description below. This video uses the spiral dynamics model, but you can absolutely apply these ideas using any developmental model that has progressive stages. When trying to apply spiral dynamics to your life, a first step can be to try to figure out where you're at along the spiral, as in where your center of gravity is currently. And I will also link a video about what a center of gravity is. This video discusses why locating your stage in consciousness progression can be so challenging, and practical instructions for doing so, as well as how to locate where you're at in specific developmental lines if you want to. And I also have a video on lines of development, which I will link below. Lots of videos. I'm doing this video podcast style, so you don't need to be watching the screen, but I am going to be covering quite a bit of practical content. For example, you will be invited to answer a series of questions for yourself. You could approach this content a few different ways. You could take notes and then later follow your notes in applying the ideas. Or you could watch the video slowly, pausing to do the work as you go. Or you could watch the video a couple of times, once to get the gist of it, and then once to actually do the work. Do whatever works best for you. Locating yourself can be challenging for multiple reasons. Reason one, some of us tend to overestimate ourselves, and some of us tend to chronically underestimate ourselves. Reason two, you can't really fully understand what a stage is like until you get there. It's normal and very human to assume that other people are experiencing what we're experiencing, and that we are right, and anyone who disagrees with us must be wrong. So people who are significantly ahead of you in development will usually look like they're either stupid, wrong, insane, or familiar. Either like they are at the same place that you are, or like they're behind you, as in, yeah, I know, I've been there and done that. Reason three, you are centered in a stage, not contained by it. For one thing, development is cumulative. Previous stages don't go away. You still retain access to all of those abilities, capacities, and perspectives, and you will most likely use them when the situation warrants it. But one way that you can tell that you're not actually centered in that stage is that you don't identify with these abilities, capacities, and perspectives anymore. And another way in which you are not contained by the stage that you're in is that you're also usually doing active development work in multiple stages at a time. See my center of gravity video, which I will also link below, for more detail about that. Some of the work that you're doing is going to be you still chewing on one or more previous stages. And of course, there's the work of the stage that you're at. And then you're also usually getting some previews of the next one or two stages. But you can tell that you're not actually centered in those stages yet because these previews feel unusual, maybe special and exciting, maybe weird and scary, maybe just new and awkward. They don't yet feel normal or everyday to you yet. And then reason four of why locating yourself can be challenging is that uneven development is normal. We tend to develop at different rates along different lines. Different lines as in different areas of our lives, different types of intelligence, different skills, etc. So if you're dealing, for example, with the relationships area of your life, and it's in green stage, you'll feel like you're in green stage while you're dealing with that, even if you spend most of the rest of your time in yellow stage. And developmental lines are fractal, So even in one line of development, you could be centered in, say, green, but still have a certain issue within it stuck back in a previous stage, like red. So to figure out where you are currently centered on the spiral can take some work. There are many ways that one could go about doing this. The following is a method that has worked well for me. Basically, just ask yourself questions about yourself and your reality as you are now, and try to answer the questions as honestly as you can. I recommend writing both the questions and answers down. It can be helpful to see them in black and white. These are the questions I've used to assess my current center of gravity and consciousness progression. What do I believe to be true about reality? What do I believe to be true about myself? What do I believe is the point of life? What are the virtues that I admire and strive for and/or that I like about myself? What are my primary motivations? What am I currently working on in my life, and what is challenging about it? Or another way of asking this one is, what are the problems I seem to keep facing in life right now, and what is similar about them? What's important to me? What do I most want right now in life? What seem to be the obstacles to that? What seem to be the obvious solutions to those obstacles? If I had all the money, time, energy, resources, etc. I could possibly want, what would I do? And why? If I could feel one way all the time, but I could only choose one, which way would I choose to feel and why? If I could magically have anything, what would I want? Why? And if I could be any way I wanted, how would I be and why? Even just answering these kinds of questions honestly for yourself and thinking about your answers can help you progress your consciousness. You might find that there is overlap in your answers to some of these questions, and that's okay. In fact, that in itself can be illuminating. Once you've written all your answers down, go back over them and do your best to objectively assess which stage each answer sounds like it's coming from in consciousness development. I've found it can be especially helpful to assess my answers as though someone else wrote them, because it can be much easier to stay objective when assessing someone else than when assessing yourself. Like, which stage of consciousness does this person sound like they're in for this answer? And then just take your best guess. Then tally up your results. Whichever stage has the highest number will be a good candidate for your current center of gravity. Ideally, your results will indicate a bell curve, possibly with a few outliers, representing your current active development range. The center of gravity video that I'll be linking below also describes what I mean by a range. If you end up with a significant split, say for example, mostly orange and yellow with almost no green in the middle, a few different things could cause this. One, you could be dealing with different developmental lines in your life that are each in legitimately different stages. Two, you might be thinking of too wide a time range. Remember that you are constantly developing, so these answers will change over time. So do your best to answer the questions for right now in your life, not last week, last month, etc. Three, you're including too many shadows and/or preview experiences in your answers. So do your best to answer the questions in terms of how you behave and think most of the time when you're in your comfort zone. And four, you might not be completely clear yet on the distinctions between the stages. in which case you might just need a little more research. You can, of course, always ask me clarifying questions in the comments, but it also might help to get other perspectives. There is, of course, the original Spiral Dynamics book, which I found incredibly helpful for gaining a deeper understanding of the system. Leo Gura on actualize.org has an excellent series of videos explaining his take on spiral dynamics up through turquoise with lots of examples. And Shores of Infinity also has a superb spiral dynamics playlist based on real lived experiences that discusses stages all the way up through Aubergine and even a little beyond into Tier 3. And I'll put links to all of those in the description box. You can do a similar process with specific developmental lines too. Here's how you might phrase the questions for a specific developmental line. What do I believe to be true about this area of life, intelligence, or skill? What do I believe to be true about myself regarding this area of life, intelligence, or skill? What do I believe is the purpose of this area of life, intelligence, or skill? What are the virtues that I admire and strive for and or that I like about myself in this area of life, intelligence, or skill? What are my primary motivations in this area of life, intelligence, or skill? What am I currently working on in this area of life, intelligence, or skill? And what is challenging about it? Or what are the problems I seem to keep facing right now in this area of life, intelligence, or skill? And what's similar about them? What is important to me in this developmental line? What do I want the most right now in this developmental line? What seems to be the obstacle to that? Or what seem to be the obstacles to that? What seem to be the obvious solutions? If I had all the time, money, energy, resources, etc., that I could possibly want, what would I do with this area of life, intelligence, or skill, and why? If I could feel one way all the time in this area of life, intelligence, or skill, how would I want to feel? Why? If I could magically have anything regarding this developmental line, what would I wish for? Why? If I could be any way I wanted to in this area of life, intelligence, or skill, how would I be? Why? You may also find other questions specific to the developmental line that could be illuminating as well. These questions are generic ones. Asking these questions of a specific developmental line or multiple lines can help you pinpoint where that particular strand of development is at for you right now and illuminate which way would be forward progress for you in that area. In other words, which stage would be next. It can also help you to notice developmental lines that are stuck, in other words, have shadows, and how you might go about unsticking them. For example, by introducing methods of the next stage of consciousness in that area. It can also help you see where you might have been trying unsuccessfully to skip stages and instead redirect your efforts to appropriately move that area to its next stage, regardless of where your overall center of gravity is. I have a Path of Mastery video that specifically addresses how to apply spiral dynamics to learning a skill, so that could be helpful with this. And let me reiterate that anytime you answer these questions is a snapshot. You can expect your answers to change over time as you develop. Also, don't worry too much about getting a location on the spiral nailed down exactly. It's perfectly fine to not be sure. In fact, that's probably more honest. It's a moving target anyway, since you're always developing. It can be much easier to figure out where other people might be in their development. This can be a great way to practice with spiral dynamics concepts and get a handle on them. Try out assessing the spiral dynamic stages of friends and family members, celebrities, historical figures, organizations and companies, countries, cultures, contemporary or historical. It can be a lot of fun to try assessing fictional characters, organizations, cultures, etc., Be a bit careful with this because most creators aren't aware of how development really works. So plenty of fictional characters, organizations, etc., end up with completely nonsensical development, but it can be fun to kibitz that as well. Be careful about voicing your assessments of real living people. Depending on where the person's at, it could feel disempowering to them, and it might rob them of some of their own self-discovery. It can also be easier to see where you were in hindsight. This can also be a helpful way of reflecting, and it can gain you insight, understanding, and compassion toward both yourself and others. And then, as you get farther and farther into Tier 2, you end up needing the map less and less, and it becomes more and more obvious that it doesn't matter what stage you're at, only that you're continuing to do the work. So I hope this video has helped you gain some clarity on your consciousness progression. Remember that you can return to it whenever you wish to apply it to different specific developmental lines and or to see how your answers may have changed. Until next time, be well.